I never saw that before. Did you see it pop up in our? Which we were speaking.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is a meeting of the Board of Property Assessment Appeals and Review for Allegheny County. It is March 27th, 2025. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we have the roll call.
Mr. Sully,
Here.
Mr. Snipe,
Here.
Mr. Ferguson,
Here.
Mr. O'Hara,
Here.
Ms. Montgomery is absent. I'm here. We have a quorum.
Very good. Number two on our agenda. The approval of the regular minutes from March 13th, 2025.
Motion to approve March 13th, 2025.
Second. There's a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Item 3, Ms. Baldwin, public comments. I noticed there are some people here that
We do.
visiting or they want to comment to the.
Well, I'll ask. There's a Katie Fisher on the line. Katie, will you be presenting to the board today or observing?
I'm just observing today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Matthew Russin, are you presenting to the board today or observing? Mr. Russin?
Observing, I'm just observing, thank you.
Thank you. And we have Mr. Abish Pius. He is on my report. And just taking a look here, he is item 6.1 on my report. Mr. Pius is requesting the board to accept a special late filed appeal. He had a 2025 appeal on a change notice. However, he was made aware that a notice went out, a 2024 interim notice went out that he never received. So I reached out to Ms. Snyder of the Office of Property Assessment. She did verify that notices were mailed out in somewhere around July of 2024, but they were mailed out separately, like 6 weeks apart. But they did go out to the address of record. So he is claiming that he did not receive the 2024 interim change notice. Otherwise, he would have appealed both had he received it.
Is there anything you want to add to that, sir?
No, thank you, Barbara. That
Okay, I yield to our solicitor.
So
Ms. Trent.
what I can see from Ms. Baldwin's report, there was a 2025 hearing scheduled and it was heard on November 6th and dispositioned out on December 20th of 2024. The board would have the option to conform the 2025 disposition to an interim 2024 disposition as well, give him a disposition to take to.
But that was the annual appeal, right?
That was the 2025 annual. You could apply the 2024. If he would tell you that the evidence would be the same,
Would that be your recommendation?
that would be my recommendation.
All right. Well, with the board, anybody?
Motion to approve.
Motion to conform the 2025 disposition for parcel 1102 E as an elephant 33 to the interim 2024 appeal as requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
So it's essentially a ditto, right?
Correct.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Sir, you will receive that in the mail.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
You. Anyone else on public comment, Ms. Baldwin?
No, there is none.
All right, we'll get item 4, the solicitor's report. Ms. Trent.
Solicitor has no report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, item number 5, the Office of Property Assessment Report. Who is speaking on behalf of the OPA?
I will. This is Lori Brown. Can you hear me? I don't have a headset, so I'm hoping you can hear me.
Very well.
Okay, you all have received our report, tax years 2020 through 2025. We are continuing to schedule hearings. We have our next set of hearings already scheduled out through April 8th. I believe I sent the list to Ms. Baldwin, letting her know. And then based on the email that I got from you, thank you, Ms. Baldwin, we will review those outstanding hearings that have OO statuses that have had past hearing dates and get those rescheduled per your email. And that is all that I have.
Okay, thank you.
And just so that the board is aware of the efforts that BPAAR has been working on in the back in relation to the 0 status report that Ms. Brown is talking about. We received two spreadsheets, one in January and another in February with there was probably like 200 to 300 parcels on there. Cindy Sadchek-Berry and Judith Ginyard have been working on those spreadsheets to try to update those. They corrected any type of parcels or appeals that the hearing officer might have had an oversight and did not make didn't change it to O2A, those type of things, or withdrawn or DNA. So we scrubbed those lists. And I sent Lori or Ms. Brown an email to let her know that we've done a scrub and that I recommend that they do the same so we can get those parcels on a schedule.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to OPA and Ms. Baldwin for working together. We've been working for months on this project. It was well over 300 parcels. If you take a look at item 7 today, all those years, that is the result of our efforts of cleaning up hearings that occurred 3-4 years ago where we had no recording, no public record, and we had to reconstruct the hearing to issue a disposition that's 2-3 years in the waiting. So thank you so much, Ms. Baldwin. Yeah. And Ms. Brown as well. Thank you. Next, items for consideration from the board administrator, Ms. Baldwin.
I actually have only one other one. There aren't no rescinds or reissues for today. I apologize, or just there aren't any. I think we were looking at rescinding the Silvestris, but we didn't need to do that. So, I do have a reissue disposition with the current date for tax year 2023 for parcel ID 2186B10. And this is for Mr. Silvestri. He represented his client on appeals for tax years 2022, which is the interim, 2023 and 2024. A disposition notice was mailed for tax year 2023 only. And the interim is on today's report for 2022, and the 2024 is also on the board approval list for today. So we're just requesting that a reissue disposition is
That's your request.
reissue disposition with a
Parcel.
for parcel ID 2186D10, and that will reserve the right for the owner to appeal all three to the BOV if they so choose to.
Is there a motion to approve the request from Ms. Baldwin?
I'll make a motion then to issue
It's towards 2023, correct?
that's on this one, correct?
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion is approved. Next, the board approval lists. As I said, this is the fruits of our labor right here. And Mr. Rump has helped me with that K.
Came through.
Yeah. All right. So I will read from the list and ask the board to consider what we were going over. We received the list of Monday, and here we go. Item number 1, interim tax year 2022, parcel 2186, D as in David 10. Now, item number 2 on the board approval list, interim tax year 2024, parcel ID 1007, S is in Sam 117. Item number 3, it's an interim tax year 2024, parcel ID 197K. K is in Kangaroo, 275. Item number 4, interim tax year 2022, parcel ID 917F as in Frank 41. Item number 5, tax year 2025, parcel ID 79G as in George 315. Item number 6, tax year 2024, the first parcel is 1654E as in Edward 131. And last on the list is first parcel is parcel ID 103E as in Edward 240-6. Is there a motion to approve the board approval list as submitted?
Motion to approve the board list as read.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there any discussions or recusals?
Yeah, in discussion, where were these? They had to be reconstructed. What was the background?
Well, one time we used paper, as you know. There was no paper. There was, the status remained at, was there a hearing or was there not a hearing? And we had to go back and find, in some cases, there's paper. In some cases, there's paper, but no notes from the hearing officer. In some cases, the hearing was never recorded. So we had to go back and look and on base and look at the evidence. And we have two of our hearing officers going in and making recommendations, which I've been signing off on because it's meticulous what they are doing. They've been working. And I've sat down with them. We had a meeting yesterday. We talked for a half an hour on one parcel. Was it?
Still no resolution just yet.
Yeah, and there were four of us talking about it. We couldn't come to a resolution on one hearing. It's unbelievable. And now that we are paperless, and in my opinion, that our hearing officers are trained, okay, and because of the mandatory training and communications, over the last year or so with some of these ordinances, hopefully, God, we go into 2026 and we won't see this anymore. But I would say it started with the paper, and there were actually 3 hearing officers who were consistently not getting the job done, Mr. Ferguson. So hope I answered your question, but those were some of the variables and problems. Yes.
These parcels that were at 00 that we thought were heard, but they were sitting at status 00, is that what they were?
Some of them are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we worked with Ms. Brown.
Yeah.
What are these?
Right.
Should we schedule a hearing?
Right.
And I don't know if we scheduled hearings on any of that.
No, not just yet. That's why I turned it over to Ms. Brown so that if, once she does her scrub, if there's not any notes or anything associated with it, go ahead and schedule them so we can get them out the way. But Cindy Sidecheck-Berry has been working really diligently to go through the whole list of parcels. And where there was an oversight, clearly where there were notes, and she flipped it to O2A. She updated to O2A. So that was, probably majority of the ones, but there were also ones where hearing officer didn't record a whole day. So that in those instances, she would have to look at the notes and then, make a recommendation and move it along.
And I just find it hard to believe that the attorneys, the property owners have been calling us every week for the last 4 years.
So are there more in addition to these?
Yeah.
Part of it.
Well,
It's part of, we're talking about the same project.
it's very few on the list
Yeah.
now that we're working.
Yeah, there were easily well over 300 of these that just sat there. That
So of these 7 that we're showing here, where it says first parcel,
yes, that's this project.
how many of those, and why are they listed as first parcel? Are these?
Because there's more than one.
Right.
Some of them. You got the list this week.
Yeah,
There might be 5 for 1 year.
same owner.
No,
Different.
this is the list.
Okay,
So this is represented.
okay, so I understand. So it's a list that's just like.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you look at the list when they were sent to you by Julia, it looked a lot different than what we usually get, which is 25 and 24. Just look at it here, 7. And in the interim process, Ms. Brown, we've talked about this and we will talk about it next week. In a meeting, there's a disconnect between the assessments are certified each January. There's a request for an interim assessment. I don't consider an interim a ditto, although I do know that the assessor will use a cost approach 2012 for the 2 years. But we're hearing 2 years worth of appeals, and this will be the discussion coming up next week. I'm going, I may suggest and come back and make sure in this process that we have somebody who's an expert on interims, hearing a whole day of interim assessments.
We used to do that.
Did we? I think it's a great
We
idea
had a couple-
because,
Historically, this board had a few hearing officers who completely understood the interim process, and they were the only ones to get interims. It seemed like that process has moved away
Yeah.
in the last, 6 or 7 years. But it used to be there was one hearing officer that would hear interim.
and there's also a problem with the certified assessment at the beginning of the hearing. You have the annual certified assessment, which has the building on it. And then you have the certified assessment on the interim, which is the lot. So if there's a no change, there are two different numbers, right? And it needs to be fixed. And I promise you, I would do everything in my power to make sure we streamline it. And I've had communications with OPA on this, and we're gonna work together and get this done. Things always look better when everyone works together. So I'm positive that we'll be able to fix this situation because the interims keep popping up as rescind, redo, right? Ms. Baldwin, it's just, and I asked Ms. Baldwin maybe 3-4 months ago, why are we always looking at these interims as a mistake?
Sometimes the CRR isn't applied and,
Yeah.
they come back.
That's one reason.
Yeah.
That's a very good reason. It should be applied. So we'll get there. Like I said, we have a meeting scheduled with OPA personnel
That's next
Friday.
Thursday, next Thursday, April 3rd at 9:00 a.m.
Oh, okay, that's right, April 3rd.
Okay, I can
So-
attend April 3rd if you.
All right,
If you need
I'll
me,
read
let me
that.
know.
Yeah, I need you. How's that?
Okay.
You're gonna offer, you're there.
We did-
And any board member wants to attend.
Great. April 3rd at 8 a.m.?
9 a.m.
I'm gonna put it in.
Yeah, 9 a.m. So, all right, so did we approve 7? I forget if we.
You have a motion and a second on the floor. You did not vote it.
I need a second on.
No, you have a second.
Okay, we have a
You just.
a motion to approve everything. Your question was, why all these, right? So that really, but there are no recusals. So is there any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Motion is approved unanimously. Move on to the chairman's report, county council, the Board of Property Assessment Appeals and Review proposal ordinance was submitted by Councilman Macy in October. I've been told that the county law department and the solicitor for the county council are still negotiating and going back and forth on this. So I think there will be something happening in April on this bill, but sometimes I'm wrong. So we'll see what, I thought I'd just give you the update. And I will always put these reminders on. Down the road, I see a point where any of you at a public meeting can make a submission of your project. And again, I will work with OPA when we meet next week on the 3rd. Look at what their deadline is on the appeals, and I will work with OPA and our solicitor on getting it. I want to keep it simple. I want to keep the appeals form simple for people who can't afford attorneys, people who want to, file an appeal on their own, and they need help. So all of you have your projects, the FAQs, the rules and regulations. Ms. Shrem, quickly, you sent us something a few weeks ago about.
That was on the administrative review process.
That was on the various processes to BPAAR and how internally we process
And
requests.
we did that years ago, but we're not doing it now. And Ms. Bowman, was that sent?
No,
to the
that's not- I
OPS.
just sent
Can you
out
send that out today and copy the board members?
Yes.
Just to make sure OPA and BPAR are on the same page.
Does it work?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I liked, what was the gist of it? One or two sentences.
It was a summary of the workflow when a request comes to BPAAR. What each, we only have like 4 or 5 different types of requests that come before us, rescinds, reschedules.
rescind reissues, administrative review. It explained what each was and then explained what the process is internally to.
And I like what I saw. I don't know if the board members,
Yeah, we gave
you
copies.
sent it to everybody.
But it's on our team site. if you
Yeah,
want.
we'll just make sure everyone's on the same page. I will work with you on storing everything in one little bucket, things like that process, okay? We can do that. Yeah, everything's electronic now. It's great. So that's all I have to say about from my report. Under old business, I have the interim assessment appeal workflow process. And I guess, Ms. Brown, you're still there, correct? Ms. Brown?
I'm sorry, what did you say again? I'm sorry.
Regarding the interim assessment appeal workflow process, do you have a written something in writing showing how the interim assessments are through OPA are created, you know, with a change order? And then there's an appeal. And I'm wondering if you have something in writing that shows each step before it gets to the appeals board. Do you have something?
I can look into that and see if we have something available.
Okay, thank you very much. And just send it on to Ms. Baldwin and copy me, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's all I have to say. There's no new business.
And but going back, if we will, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go ahead.
I requested at our last meeting and not gotten a response from any of the board members. I need feedback from each of you regarding the hearing officers.
Mhm.
So if you please get that to me, I'd appreciate that. And anything else that you think could be included in training, so I can get this prepared.
Number one, turn on your recorder.
Yeah.
Number two, know what
We'll
the
go
change.
by the manual steps as well, yes.
I'm going to give it to you now, that there have been various changes with the data entry part for the hearing officer. And maybe if we can get that, Ms. Baldwin, if you can work with OPA, and what have been the changes since the last cycle?
System changes.
One example is board member approved when we sign on, hearing officer approved. The base year, putting the base year in that first block. And there were a couple other
Opinion of
things.
values, but that was something that was added.
Yeah, so, but we're gonna get it to you in writing.
Subkeys, that's.
And again, all of us are responsible for all of these items, you know, so. I did get an email from the chairman of the council assessment services committee, and she said she thought this was a great idea. Council does the same thing, where each council member is responsible for a project, something. And I know we'll get there. We're all intimately involved in the process. And that's all I have to say. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Is there a motion to adjourn? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
8.3.
This still didn't beat my record.
What's your record? 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
Oh, I can't be.
And we conducted business.
Yeah, I talked.
Really? Yeah, it was not just a reorg meeting. We conducted business and we did it in 3 minutes.
You were.
I'll get it down.